What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony Russo from hashtag Be the Change and Awake Not Woke Clothing. We have got a special guest on. We're not just going to be talking about what you have heard us talk about a lot lately, the Great American Summit. We're going to talk about why it's great to be an American, why we love our country, where we've come from to where we've become, and what we're going through as a nation right now. And I've got a great guest, Eric Konovalov. He is with us. Barb could not make it, but it's okay. We'll bring the pretty for her. Don't worry about that. She is missed, of course. Eric is sharing this on his page right now, and we're gonna go ahead and get started in just a minute. Please hit the share button if you've heard me talk about this already earlier today in the last 2 days because of a truthful post I posted about what's going on with Omicron. And by the way, it was confirmed by Fauci and every news article 2 days after I said it. That was actually deemed as false information. They have decided to squash the reach of our page. So please help us out. And this isn't a weird conspiracy on my part, because there's even a link from Facebook saying we are not allowing you to spread your page as easily as before. Sorry. So please, again, help us out by sharing, put some comments in there, say hello. Barbara, what's going on? I see in the comment box. Everybody leave a comment so I know you're here. Say hello, say hashtag Be the Change, say all that stuff. Rose, always sharing the stuff. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hi,
With that,
Rose from Illinois. All right, Rose, you're ready for revolution.
we got
Gina, how
Gina
are
from
you?
Virginia. Eric, where do you live?
I'm in Florida now. I got out of Maryland last year, and it'll be a year since I live in Florida, and it's such an amazing state. I'm in love with this state.
Love it. All right, before we get to your introductions, we're going to go ahead and get the show started with a little bit of a pomp and circumstance, aka a countdown I got from their American Snippets crew. And then, we're going to get the party started.
Let's
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, don't pay attention to the right of the screen. Barb isn't going to make it, but we've got those two beautiful gentlemen on the screen, one of them being me, and of course, Eric Konovalov. Eric, welcome to Be the Change. Welcome to the crew here. And how's your day so far?
best day ever, man.
That's-
Because today is always the best day ever, Anthony.
Is tomorrow going to be better than today?
Absolutely. Tomorrow's going to be the best day ever.
Exactly. So before we came on, we were briefly talking, and you are a blessed individual because you actually don't watch the news. So
I
what?
don't.
Knowing that you're that you're a Marine, and all, what keeps you from why do you not watch the news?
I just get angry, man. So look, I'm a firm believer in attracting and creating the future that we want to create for ourselves. I'm a coach. I help people do that. And what I noticed is that we cannot create anything beautiful from a low negative place. And so I have to keep my emotions as close to joy, love, gratitude as much as possible. And then when I watch the news, it pisses me off. Whether I watch Fox, who I agree with, they string on my emotions, or I watch CNN just to, for a comedy show, they're yanking my strings too. So you can't win.
That actually, so that's our. So again, we were talking a little bit about Cuomo, talking on Lemon, and again, you don't watch the news, and I find it interesting because there's a lot of shame in Fox News. There's a lot of people on the left that are like, "Oh, you must be a Fox News watcher." So I've watched the evolution of news in the last 2 years, and I think it really has just drastically changed. And it's gone from CNN having a certain level of newsworthiness to 0%. And honestly, I think Fox was in that position a few years ago where I still thought that was a better story to a point, but it was still a story. Lately, they have got people from both sides. They've got people that are pro V, they've got people that are pro freedoms, and they've got people that are a little left and then very right. The balance is much more on Fox, and I don't know how to tell people that Fox is not this ultra right Trump loving network. Do you have any idea how to actually tell people that with like to make it make sense?
Well, in my experience, people are going to believe what they're going to believe, and you cannot change their mind to save your life. Like, you could see like I watched a little bit after Cuomo got fired, right? And they got rid of Cuomo, and then Humpty Dumpty was on CNN talking about, trying to cover up the story, and it just looks so silly and fake. Yet people are going to watch it because it aligns with their belief system, what they believe about that network, what they believe about Chris Cuomo and the brothers. They're going to find a way to make that the truth for them. There is
And that's yeah, and that's the danger, honestly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why you stopped watching the news. Is it's all become a narrative. There is no Walter Cronkites anymore. There is no even the early days of Dan Rather. It's not news. It is let me find a story and sensationalize it. And like Cuomo covering up for a brother, and it's not like he covered up for a brother's like sketchy like mid-level scandal. He was actually abusing women. He was harassing women, and we're somehow completely letting him go for the fact that he potentially killed many elderly with how he handled the coronavirus. And it's like, and it's become, I think my opinion, the biggest danger in our country is the news at this point, because it's not the news.
I totally agree. And if you look at World War II, so I'm a Russian refugee, right? Like, my parents escaped Russia, were Jewish. So Jews were really being prosecuted or persecuted in Russia. They got out of there. I was 10 years old. And the reason why I'm saying that is because my grandmother's whole family was kind of wiped out in World War II. She was born in Ukraine. She went to fight in the war for the Red Army. And the way you got to ask and wonder, well, how did a guy like Hitler, how did World War II, how did Nazis come into power in Germany? And two things they did first. Number one is they got rid of all the guns. Like, people could not own guns. So they took everybody's weapons. And number two, they took over the media. They controlled every single newspaper. They control everything. So what happens now, you're being fed lies 24/7 about a neighbor. So it could be a Christian German living next to a Jewish German family. And the newspapers are constantly telling you the economy is down because the Jews are stealing all your money. If we just get the Jews are bad. If you get rid of the Jews, and this is constant news, you start believing it. And it's so possible to believe a lie, isn't it?
100%.
How many lies do we believe every single day? And so that's why if, back then people couldn't turn that off. It's just coming your way. And that's what happens here. What got me was the peaceful protests when the guy is standing in front of a freaking burning building and they're saying mostly peaceful protests here. And what CNN did great, I think they controlled the narrative the whole way through, and they made Fox get on defense. So when I would turn to Fox is like, let's look at fake news. And they're showing the CNN reporter, and now they're reporting what CNN is lying about instead of just focusing on the truth. So then I just agreed with Fox's version more than I agreed with CNN's. But they all had their own agenda, right? And that was to make me feel upset and be mad at anybody that doesn't like Trump or likes Biden or whatever. And I just don't want anybody controlling me like that.
How amazing is it that they were able to convince their viewer base with a burning building behind it? Because I still hear people say, you really can't call it a riot. It was a protest with a couple bad things. They were able to actually convince a whole viewer base.
Dude, they were able to convince just a few weeks ago, when you look at Virginia's election for governor, the lieutenant governor, who's a African-American black woman, United States Marine, they were able to convince their viewers that she is a white supremacist. They were able to convince viewers when California's race, when Larry Elder was running, I noticed I was watching CNN because I was so curious to see what they would say. Larry Elder, who is a black dude in his 50s, who grew up in LA, who accomplished so much, so impressive to watch and listen to Larry Elder.
Yeah.
Running against a white dude that trashed California and is a hypocrite, right? Who was out to dinners with no mask, but telling everybody they had to mask up. They said Larry Elder would be a white supremacist like Donald Trump.
They
Electing
call
Larry Elder would be exactly like electing a white supremacist who's like Donald Trump. And they didn't put one picture of Larry Elder up. Not one.
they called him the new face of white supremacy. I'm like, are we in wacky world?
That's what I'm like. I'm like, so why would I watch this? Why am I
And
going to watch this?
it's all manipulation. And I want to get to introducing you and obviously the event, but it is funny. It is like led to this narrative, and like you said, they didn't show a picture. And you go all the way back to Michael Brown. They showed pictures of him when he was 12 years old. They didn't show what he looked like when he was doing criminal things. Same with we don't need to get into the Trayvon Martins, but whenever there is somebody that they want to show as a tragedy, they don't show them currently. They show what they look like several years ago as a child and said, "Oh, poor situation." And it's
Yeah, they find the best picture. Absolutely. And
crazy.
what
So
happened to Hunter Biden? And what happened to this freaking um the court case? They're blasting my man, that kid who's a hero, Rittenhouse, man. I mean, the way he handled that M16, my
could
goodness.
you have done that? Could you have
I
been
don't
that
think so.
critical?
I don't know, man. I've never been in a situation like that. I'm a trained United States Marine. I don't know if I could have handled that situation as well as he did with those well-aimed shots as he's being attacked with a skateboard. 3 dudes, one's got a gun. The guy's amazing to be able to do that at 16 years old. Now, some people say, well, he shouldn't have been there. I don't disagree with you, but it's his right to be there.
Yeah,
Should a 16-year-old kid be there? We don't live in the world of shoulds. Something tugged on his heart. He wanted to be there,
he shouldn't have
and
had to
he
have been there.
defended himself.
He shouldn't.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have had to. It's not an issue, in my opinion, of shouldn't have been there. It's a shouldn't have had to. The police ended up having to be told to stand down in this mostly peaceful protest,
Oh, so
and
true.
and it's like I just saw somebody post in New York City about all their favorite restaurants. There was a whole line of restaurants that have been closed in the last since 2020. And it's like, while all these neighborhood places that everybody loves to go to, family owned, Kenosha, you can look at it, black owned businesses, white owned businesses, doesn't matter, but family owned businesses were burnt to the ground. And everybody's like, oh, you got insurance. Insurance doesn't cover the 6 months without business. And like, people don't get that. Meanwhile, the Walmarts of the world, the Amazons have exploded in wealth. And we've had this wealth transfer, and we see all these families that have hurt. And you know what? If he had the balls that I would like to think that I have, as a 39-year-old, would have the balls to go, if it's a neighboring community, and say, I'm going to stand outside with my legal firearm and do it. I don't know, but I don't know if I'd be able to handle myself the same way. So yeah,
He
probably.
did such a great job. And
Yeah.
you know what else is? They villainize the wealthy. The wealthiest of the wealthy, like Don Lemon, who's like a multi-millionaire, Chris Cuomo, who's a multi-millionaire, they villainize the wealthy. And just yesterday, I was at an event. It was for an organization called Soldier Strong. And what these guys do is they create these kind of robotic devices that help paralyzed veterans, walk. And I saw this Marine Staff Sergeant yesterday at this event who's paralyzed, who got this $150,000 device around his hip and strapped to his legs that he controls with like a mobile app. And he got up, he took a glass off like a top shelf. He walked with his kids. It gave him his life. And what else I noticed is it was a bunch of wealthy people who were in the room together donating to this organization. It was a wealthy person's house where other wealthy people went and they donated their money, their time to help our people, the ones who serve us, who are paralyzed now. Yet the news doesn't show that. They don't, they tell you you're poor because somebody else is rich.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing that I think it's upbringing, and I want to learn more about your upbringing too. But I was fortunate. I was raised poor, very very poor. But I had a couple wealthy relatives on my dad's side that were incredibly nice and kind people. So I think when people grow up, they're raised. A lot of people that are raised in poverty are told money is the root of all evil, which is such a terrible thought process. Money is bad. Money is bad. And it's ingrained to them. So when they get older, now they're looking at people and being like, rich people are terrible. They're horrible human beings. No, there's rich people that are assholes. There's a huge difference, but there is a lot of good to be had with money. And I fortunately got to see my relatives that were great people. I'm like, oh, If I make money, I want to be like them. And I think that that's an important thing because, like you said, the rich right now, money and wealthy people have the power to actually create change, which is my segue into this. We have the Great American Summit coming up. Eric is one of the speakers along with me, and of course, 25 amazing people. Tell people a little bit more about this event.
Man, this event is, I don't know if you guys know Barbara Allen, but she's a Gold Star wife, lost her husband, had to raise 4 kids for a while on her own. She is the host of American Snippets podcast. She's got 2 books out. The lady's just amazing, and a TED Talk. So check out her story, is just incredible. And one of the things Barb says in her story is that she was really fighting the government because her husband was killed by a soldier who actually ended up being let go, didn't go to jail. And in her lowest point, she had a Vietnam veteran show up to her. Here she is, single mom, left with 4 kids, dead husband. And this Vietnam veteran showed up and they offered their support. And they gave her, because her husband Lou did not get a Purple Heart, this Vietnam veteran gave her his Purple Heart. And then they came up and they supported her. And she had this kind of switch in her mindset of America's not shit. This is what America's about. And kind of re-energized her as a patriot. So Barb is probably one of the biggest patriots I know. She sees what's going on. Her and her fiance Dave, they don't like what's going on, and they want to get that American patriotism back. So this is what this event is about. And there's going to be some incredible speakers like Anthony. Brad Lee's one of them. Tony Waitley's going to be there. Like there's so many. Nick Vujicic, the guy with no arms and no legs. Like, this is going to be awesome. And instead of us always looking at all the shit that's going on around us, because the news isn't going to show us anything positive, we get to go and hang out with people who are all about being positive, seeing the good in the world, and getting our country back.
Yeah. And Eric is become very successful in business, and that's a key element to this event. There's a lot of rallies. I know there's a couple big turning point events in like America Fest in December. This one is not a rally, and I stress that to people. It is a bunch of like-minded patriots that are focused on, like we just said, money is not the root of all evil. Finding a way to create enough business and use our reach and use the people in a network to get our voice out there to actually create change in the country. We can get a bunch of people jacked up just with the best of them, but at the same time, finding a plan that, and it's not just about the 20-something speakers in that room. It's going to be about, we have a maximum of, I believe, like 850 or 900 in attendance. It's going to be the people in the room that are going to buy these tickets and come and have the opportunity to talk with us or talk with each other and network to essentially be that ripple effect that can go and actually change our country. Because for those people that believe as though everything is on an okay path right now, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know. You could have been a Biden voter and a Biden supporter. You can be a Democrat. I don't care. But if you look at what is happening in this country on a lot of different levels, I think you realize that there has to be some change made one way or another. And it doesn't even have to be about the president. It has to be about the way that we interact with each other, the way the media portrays things, and the way that we fight back hand in hand as Americans. And I think that's incredibly important. So
100%.
Go to greatamericansummit.com if you want to check out tickets. There's a bunch of different levels. There's the general admission, which is $197 for per ticket. Get a pair of that. Or there's also Patriot Passes all the way up from VIP to Patriot Pass. Patriot Pass is awesome because you really do get to meet everybody. And you get to really have your own special room. And there's just a wide range. And ultimately, the last thing I'll say on this for now is, if you can't fly in to go, but you could afford a ticket, or if you want to gift a ticket, you can reach out to Be the Change page. I know Barb, I forgot to get her email address, but you can reach out to me on Be the Change, and we'll make sure that if you want to give money for that, we'll give a first responder, a veteran, or somebody like that tickets to the event. We'll gift those to people. So looks like the dog is bored. Do you see that? Just taking a snooze right back there. Start of the show. That's Woody. So yeah, all right. We talked about the event. We're going to talk about it again. Please, if you guys have questions, let me know. Let us know. We'll even answer them during this live. But Eric, you are a fascinating character, my friend. I know just a little bit about you, just a little bit to do some danger. Please give us the backstory on your life, because as a Russian refugee turned what you are now, it's fascinating. So go ahead and tell us some more.
Man, I'll tell you like this. I remember I was about 9 years old leaving Russia, and we are at the Moscow airport ready to fly out. And the immigration process was you'd go live in Austria, Vienna, and then in Italy, and then they decided when to let you into the country. But that was kind of like the waiting period. And at the airport, the guards opened up all our suitcases and took out everything they wanted. And there's nothing you can do. They took money, they took toys, they took whatever they wanted. And their whole thing is either you stay here with your stuff or you can go without it. And there's no justice there. Like that's just how things work. So we left out of there. My mom hid $400, and it was my stepfather, my mom, two stepsisters, and a sister, and me. So six of us total. Getting out of a country with four young kids. The oldest one was 15 at that time. I got a little gnat flying around. Sorry.
No, you're good. I got a dog sleeping.
So, we got to Vienna, and my mom started selling the stuff that we did have in like a flea market type of place. Started working like a jewelry store in Italy to make some ends meet. I remember running around the street washing cars for a couple of, liras in Italy. And when we got here, it's really I'm a product of the social system here, the social kind of programs, because we got on food stamps. We got help from a few organizations who helped refugees like me get on our feet. Um, Dude, I remember in Russia, there was no pasteurized milk, right? So here you have cold milk. It's all pasteurized, homogenized. Well, in Russia, literally, like you had to boil milk to get all the stuff out of there. And my mom had no idea, she grew up boiling milk. So I remember we would get 2 brown bags of food from whatever organization, and cornflakes which is like the most disgusting cereal to a kid, was there with, the white box with the
Oh yeah,
rooster.
yeah.
And I remember my mom would boil milk and pour hot milk
Oh,
on cornflakes. And that was breakfast for a while. Oh, that was so disgusting. And when you boil milk, it has like this thick film
film.
that
Yeah.
oh my goodness. Yeah. So I
I
don't know
used
why it just triggered
I
my
used to
memory. But
have
that's how.
warm milk's not bad. Like to go to sleep, like put a little honey in it, maybe. But yeah, I can't
Oh
imagine on
yeah.
cereal. I was hypoglycemic as a kid, so I couldn't eat sugar. So I know that the rooster cereal, I think even that had a high level of sugar. I had to have under like 5 grams. So what were I could have Rice Krispies and basic Cheerios, and I think the cornflakes, and that was literally it. Now I didn't have to have warm milk though, because that's
Hot
gross.
milk, man, because my
Oh
mom
god.
thought it had to be hot.
So how long
Um,
did it take for you to realize you didn't have to do that?
I have no idea. I don't know at what point. I'll have to ask her, but I don't know at what point. Um,
That's good.
so yeah, that's kind of one of the things. I remember we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment when we first moved here, and my room, I shared a room with all my sisters, and then my parents had a room. And when you walked in, there's just 4 twin beds from the window to the door. Like the door didn't even close. It's just as soon as you walk in, your shin hit a bed.
Yeah.
And mine was all the way by the window. And then we had 3 sisters sleeping there. And so I would literally hop over each one to get out because I was an early riser to go watch my cartoons. Um, that's how we got here. And as a kid, that's how we grew up. Didn't have a penny to our name, just really broke. And my parents went to work pretty hard, multiple jobs. But unfortunately, when your parents are working, the kids are going to hang out on the streets. So I was a tough kid. Like I literally got expelled my 7th, 9th, and 10th grade for various things. College was not in my kind of future, but I knew I didn't want to go the way I was going. So I joined the Marine Corps, and 8
What's
years got
what state were you living in, Eric? Where did you guys?
Maryland.
Oh, so you were in Maryland right when you got to the United States.
We moved to Baltimore. It's just outside of the city.
Got it. Yeah, yeah.
And so joined the Marines, 8 wonderful years in the Marine Corps, and I got out and got into sales and just killed it. Started selling copiers in Baltimore, went on to leading a team for Xerox, grew a little bit more, went on to leading another smaller team for a smaller company. And then I started my own coaching, training, consulting organization. wrote this book on sales called B2B Sales Secrets. And now I kind of help people live a happy life and create the future that they dream about creating, because I think it's possible for us.
Yeah. And it's people, you look at opportunity and you get past skin color, you get past upbringing, you get past nationality, all these different things. We rag on the United States, our media and individuals. They talk about, oh, there's so many problems. And is there problems? Absolutely. Even if you look at the best marriage on the planet, there is still problems. Just because they take great pictures on Instagram doesn't mean there's not problems. It's the key is always building and growing from those problems. And that's what America has done well. There's been failures, 100%. You can't succeed without failing. But I think for the first time in a long time, would you think that I'm right in saying that we have the progress that America has made has started to reverse course?
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah.
It definitely seems that way. I mean, the second they said that the number one problem in the United States is white supremacy, like that just
There's no
where is that?
there's no statistic. There's no statistic to back that up.
It's
It's
one thing to recognize problems, which
yeah,
doesn't help anybody either. You just sit there and focus on problems, right? What happens when we focus on something? Where focus goes, energy flows. That's what you're literally going to sit in, is the shit of problems that you're
right.
focusing on. It doesn't help anything. But then to make up problems that don't actually exist, like like my man Dave Chappelle said, that guy Juicy Smolier. Like, what the hell is that about?
Yeah, it's creating a narrative that makes us think we live in this horrible country. And for somebody like you that has come from such a difficult place to then be able to make a life for you and then to make an extraordinary life, what would you if somebody were to come up to you right now and be like, man, I'm telling you, America, it's bullshit. Like there's no opportunity unless you were raised with the silver spoon, unless all this stuff. What would you say to them?
So I would just ask them, I want to really understand where they're coming from, right? And as hard as it is, whether I agree or disagree, the fact of the matter is that through their lens, that's what they're seeing. And so I would ask them, well, help me understand. What do you mean by that? Give me some examples. What's horrible here? Who are you comparing it to? Because there's nothing good or bad without a comparison to itself. So if America is horrible, what's the standard? What are we basing it on? It's horrible compared to America in 1800s or 2000 or the future. Like, I don't understand what's horrible. And I would just challenge him on it and ask him questions. I used to get really combative. And what happens is, the more you push, the more they push and nothing happens. But when we kind of get on each other's side and try to understand their perspective, they'll open the door for you to share yours.
No, that's perfect. And when all this started, our page grew kind of with the help of a gentleman by the name of Cashley Kelly, and right after the George Floyd, when COVID started, I started a show called Truth Will Set You Free. We had 500 people that followed the page, and now we have 33,000. And really, the key was having that conversation at the very beginning of the Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. And I was under this belief, just like you said, you have to meet people where they are in order to have that conversation. Hammering right back at them and saying, you're wrong. What your belief system is invalid. What you see on TV is a lie. You're wrong. It doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get us anywhere. But like I said with the All Lives Matter, it's like, yeah, I get the point. I agree, all lives matter. But what good is that doing, telling a bunch of people that believe based on what they've seen that everything is wrong and it's unfair to the Black community in this country? But it's when you actually listen to their pain, listen to their struggle, listen to why they feel like the country sucks, and let them feel heard, and allow them to let their guard down to actually have a conversation that is rooted with facts, statistics, your story, your personal story. But when we just hammer back at people, and that's what we do, left and right, doesn't matter, up, down, sideways, we just hammer back at people in this country without actually listening to another person. And again, it's just like relationships, just like sales. It's the same thing. If you go to a customer and you tell them, And as a sales guru like you are, if I were to be like, this is my product, it's best product, what you got there, it's absolute garbage, and you don't let them speak, are you ever going to make a sale?
No.
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 You have to figure out why your product works for that person, right?
100%.
So you're big into sales, obviously sales training and getting people to grow their sales business. Can you give some tips and tricks, or what actually you worked for Xerox? What got you to this point of being a kind of a sales master?
Well, I'm no master, man. I'm learning something new every day, and I'm no guru because my way is not the only way, and my way is a way that really works for me, and it can work for others. I think what people are missing is that sales, we forget the human aspect. Like, I was talking to somebody on my podcast yesterday, and if you look at sales job descriptions, they'll say stuff like, we're looking for a hunter, we're looking for a go-getter, we're looking for someone that can go and drive business. I've sold to so many people in my career. Now, no one ever, not one person that I can remember since 2006 of me selling, has ever said, you know what, Eric? I wish you hunted me a little bit more. I wish you drove me a little bit more. So we're disconnecting from what our customer needs. You want to be a good salesperson, you got to align yourself with your clients. You want to be a great salesperson, you better educate yourself on their industry, on your industry, on challenges that they might have that they don't even know they have, on regulations that are coming down the pike that are going to affect them. Like, can you imagine if you're selling to the trucking industry and you know that all the ships are about to be stuck, and you have a solution that can help these people increase revenues? So if you're in sales, stop freaking selling. Just start getting really curious, start solving problems, and start presenting potential problems that may arise that your client may not even be thinking about. And they'll love you because you're a problem solver. In this day and age, dude, I walk into a store, or if anybody calls me, like an ad pops up on Facebook as recently as today. There's an ad for a center camera. Like, I hate that my camera is on top of my laptop, and when I'm talking to someone on Zoom, I don't look like I'm looking straight at them because I'm looking at them on the screen. And there's a camera that positions itself in the middle of a screen. First thing I did is went to Amazon to see if they're selling it there, because I don't have to fill out a bunch of information. So anything you sell, people are going to go to Amazon, they're going to shop you. So what makes you different? What makes you not be a commodity? It's the value that you bring. I was talking to a guy today, and my realtor, like, when I was moving from, we were building a house here. When I was moving from Maryland here, my realtor, Heidi Johnson in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, is the best realtor in the world. I'll say that all day long. She literally, after we signed the contract, she didn't have to do this. Dude, every single week on Sunday, she FaceTimed me and walked through the property to show me progress that happened in the last week. Every week she did that. Do you think I would ever go anywhere else or recommend any other realtor? Absolutely not, because she provided value. She wanted me to feel safer and better. And she was with us the whole, every step of the way. So in sales, it's, how do you make this person feel? Do you make them feel safe? Do you make them feel like you're on their team? Are you presenting challenges to them that they aren't thinking about? If you are, you're going to do a great job. And if not, you're like everybody else.
Do people like when you are going to be speaking at the Great American Summit? And again, I have it now scrolling on the bottom. If you guys want more information or tickets on it, and we have a variety. I mean, you got Bradley, big into business. You've got Jason Redmond, big into patriotism. You've got such a wide variety of conversational speakers and leaders. Eric, and I know you just kind of talked about sales. What is it, if you could give a teaser of what you're going to be speaking about in Dallas? What would be the trailer for that movie look like?
The trailer would be the fact that we can create any future we want. And the problem, like, you ask anybody, like, hey, what's your goal? You go into an organization, you say, what's your goal for this year? Like a financial goal, because those are easy to measure. They'll tell you, we want to increase by 10 to 30% or something like that. And the next question you got to ask is, well, how did you get that number? And what they'll tell you is, well, the industry is doing this based on our history. We know we can do this based on everything that's happening right now. We can do this. But that's not, those may be facts, but that's not the truth. The truth is that no matter what happened yesterday, you can completely create a whole different world today. Like, I had no idea how I was going to get to Florida. I had no idea how I was going to get my first house. I saw it up here first. I wrote about it in here. Like, I don't know if you guys see this, but this is my journal. I have like, I don't know how many of them. I create my life before it happens. And we're in control of that. And so as I coach people, they say, I can't visualize. I can't visualize the future. And so here's where I challenge them. I'm like, okay, well, do you ever go out to dinner and then you're going dancing? And they said, yeah. I'm like, how do you know? Like, do you ever picture what you're going to wear? Yes. And do you wear that? Yeah. And do you feel the way you thought you would feel when you're wearing that? Yeah. You visualized. Do you ever say, oh, I'm not going to eat a steak because I'm going dancing or because it's late. I'm going to have a light fare. I'm going to have a salad and maybe a salmon just so I'm not feeling heavy and I can sleep better. Do you ever do that? Yeah, you're visualizing. We all visualize. But 99% of the time, we visualize the negatives. We visualize all the stuff that can go wrong. And what I want to help people understand is that we're in 100% control of the vision we create for our future. We choose to either go negative, positive, and we can choose the vision to be whatever we want it to be. It's just somewhere along the line, we forgot to use our imagination. And that's such an important tool when you're setting goals.
I love that. That was good. So that's good. So now I know that in the 2 days that I'm there, that I will definitely be sitting through your speech.
I love it.
No, that was great. And it brings me to a next point, because I think there's just a mindset difference. And obviously people can go to college these days. They can go to trade school. They can go to serve our country. Do you take anything of your Marine experience with you on a daily basis from a professional standpoint?
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that question.
I thought if you want to take a beat, this is a pretty funny response. I need to,
Kelly, I love that. I'd love to talk to you. So, do I take anything from my Marine Corps experience? I'd say I take everything from my Marine Corps experience, right? Because I was a knucklehead. Marine Corps made me a man, right? It forged that. I really didn't have a father figure in my life. Marine Corps kind of instilled in me that there's a camaraderie. There's something more than just me. Because before the Marine Corps, the world revolved around Eric. During the Marine Corps, there are other people who are more important than me for the greater good. And knowing that I'm more important than them to them for a greater good. And it's like, we have to protect one another. We have to look at one another. I think I learned that in the Corps, and I think I take that everywhere. And I heard John Maxwell say this. He said, with a very tiny exception, the rest of the world is all about somebody else. And I never married the two until now. So thanks for asking that, Anthony.
Yeah.
But the Marine Corps has taught me to really look out for my brother and sister by my side and who's in front, and know that they'll look after me.
I like that. So, and now it brings up when you were a kid, and you said things revolved around you. I mean, obviously you didn't have an easy life. You're hopping around a bedroom with no room. You left the country. You had all these things that were going wrong for you. Would you say that you were acting out because of a victim mindset, which is normal at that age, obviously, and for the situation? Do you think you had a victim mindset to that point? Like, why is my life such shit at this point?
No, man, I'm the positive guy. I've always been like I like negative stuff just doesn't affect me usually.
So why do you think you were acting out as a kid so much?
I think I loved attention, class clown. I'm a guy that wants to be liked and loved. And at the end of the day, look, we all have this gremlin that lives inside of us. And Jim Rohn said, the weeds don't need water to grow. The negative shit that happens to us, that doesn't take effort. Like you could just eat pizza every day and not work out, and you're gonna get out of shape.
Yeah.
Your life is probably gonna start sucking a little bit. Um, so the negative stuff never requires effort to develop. It's just gonna happen. What requires effort is keeping that down. And I didn't know, I didn't have enough back then to know that. So I was seeking attention. I thought it was cool. I wanted to be liked by the crew I was hanging out with. So, the stuff I got in trouble for. So seventh grade, I got expelled. I was fighting a kid, and a teacher got in the middle of us. He reached over, got me, and I just went ham and kind of hit the teacher and went after him. So I got expelled for hitting the teacher. Ninth grade, fighting. 10th grade for weed. Like just stupid shit, right? That kids do. But I don't necessarily know if it's because I had a victim mindset or I think I just thought it was cool back then.
Interesting.
Um,
So you have a newborn, you have a young child now, right?
I have two boys. My youngest is 8.
Oh, okay. Sorry, looking
Yeah,
at the wrong. All right, my bad. So you got an 8-year-old boy and
a
and a
12-year-old boy.
12-year-old.
Yeah.
All right, so great timing to ask this question. So you kind of just said, I had issues. I did this. Wasn't victim. I was acting out. I was getting in fights. What would you say to your kids that said if they come home and said, I got in a fight, I got suspended for 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Dad, you did the same. What do you say?
So my kid did get suspended last year. 6th grade, my older one. And he's a smaller guy. So in 99% of the situations, he's a small dude. His celiac, he didn't grow for 2 years. We didn't know he
Yeah.
was celiac. And so what celiac is allergic to gluten, which is wheat. And so what do you do when your kid stops growing? You're like, you better eat this. If you want this cake at the birthday party, you better finish your 2 slices of pizza. And both of them are killing my kid,
Yeah.
So we didn't know. The doctors misdiagnosed it for a couple years. And anyway, so he's a smaller kid and he gets picked on. He gets bullied. So me growing up the way I did, I told him, I said, listen, dude, if you ever feel like you're in danger, I need you to hit first, hit hard, and hit in the nose. That's what I teach my kid. So last year, he was sitting down working, and he's a sweetheart. He's not going to start a fight. Last year, he's sitting down working, and this kid came up and slammed laptops, like closed the laptops of his 2 friends that are like next to him, did the same with my kid, and then kind of pushed him in the head. My kid got up and hit him in the nose and got suspended from school. So I was talking to the vice president. I was talking to the assistant principal. She called me up. She said, hey, we're going to have Max, suspended for 2 days and then a day of in-school suspension. I said, what happened? She told me. I said, ma'am, I just want you to understand that my kid is not aggressive, and I teach him to do exactly what he did. So I'm very proud that he did it. And she said, Mr. Konovalov, I teach my kids the same thing. But because of rules and policies, we have to send him home. By the way, the kid that he had an altercation with, we're removing him from the class because it seems like he's been a problem.
Got it.
So when Max got home, he was very scared that I would be mad at him. And I was super proud. I told him, I said, dude, you did the right thing. He didn't start the fight. It would be a different conversation. If he was bullying someone, it'd be a different conversation. If he started, he's not that
Rittenhoused
kid.
it. He Rittenhoused the
He
situation.
Rittenhoused it. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a safer way. Yeah. And so I was just proud of him. Look, I don't take school that, maybe I should. I just don't take it that seriously. I believe that the shit they teach in school isn't going to apply in real life. I'll never tell my kids that, but I believe that it's not really going to apply to them in real life. Like them learning, my teacher said that I'll never have a calculator everywhere I go. I have a calculator everywhere I go. I got Google at what are you teaching me? Anything you need
We
to
don't
know.
teach anything of real life value in our school
I
system.
ask Siri and she tells me. Like it
Yeah.
takes my watch less time than it did when I was growing up. So I want him to have common sense. I want him to be a kind person. I want him to be empathetic, accepting, loving, open. So I love school because he gets to interact with different types of kids. But I don't care if he comes home and, if he gave it all and he got a C or a D, I'm like, I don't care. That doesn't mean anything. My job is to tell him and teach him that that bad grade doesn't mean anything as long as you put in your hard work and your effort.
No, and I think Barbara just said it, but not be empathetic, be kind, but don't be a doormat. Be
Yep.
somebody that stands up for yourself. And I think over time, and I think that's the great thing if to people that are listeners and to observers, I was a very well behaved kid. And I looked at schooling very important. And then when I had my own business up until probably about 5 years ago, I was a got to go to college kind of person. I was like, look what it does for you. Once you go to college, you do this. And I do think that if you look about 10, 15 years ago, I think that was important on a lot of levels. Like you took the Marine route, and I think there was some trades at the time you could take that trade route, but ultimately college degree meant your resume would get looked at in a certain level. I think in this day and age that has drastically changed. I think ultimately interpersonal skills trump pretty much everything, and the ability to, like you said, carry around a calculator. Like we don't the stuff we learn in school, and then once you go to college, which essentially becomes just the way that you've now designated which college football and basketball team you cheer for the rest of your life, instead of what you're learning, and maybe making connections depending on your fraternity or depending on the university. I think it's huge to realize that grades only matter based on as long as you are competently getting them, and you're not completely ignoring the responsibility. I think the responsibility is a good thing to learn at a young age. Just the same way you learn the responsibility and to yourself and to others in the Marine Corps. I think that is a very, very astute and accurate point, especially knowing and what kids go through in school in terms of what they're learning at this point, which is so questionable depending on the state. School, you're in Florida now, so you're probably in better shape at least. But it's curious to hear that, and I loved your description when you first said. I was like, this is going to go down a different route than I thought it was, and you didn't just clean it up. You polished it to a point that makes more sense than anything else you could have said. So I agree. I agree. I might not have agreed with your first word, and then I was like, no, this makes way more friggin' sense. Way more sense.
Thanks, Anthony. Awesome, man. Yeah, I totally. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think as long as you're intentional, that's the other thing is we got to be intentional about our life. So the kid that comes out of high school and says, "Hey, I want to be a doctor," and this is the path it's going to take, then college is right for that kid. Take it. But if you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just going to go. No, no, no. Don't go to college if you don't know what you're doing. College is a business.
Yeah.
That's what we got to understand. Like, it's a business. To fill out an application is $50 or $100 or $150 times tens of thousands of applications. It's a business. Mm-hmm. And these schools, trust me, they want those application fees coming in. There's a department for that. Yeah. Because I've sold to them. I've sold systems that would allow recruiters in the field to recruit you on the spot with technology and the iPad, have you fill out your information, process your card right there. So I've spoken to the deans of admissions, and I know what's important to them. It's that money. Not saying they don't care about educating kids. I'm just saying that we don't, for some reason, look at colleges and universities as businesses, and we should, because that's exactly what they are. So the kid that wants to be a doctor, a CPA, an attorney, and college is that path, and they know their path, go for it. But the kid that doesn't know what they're going to do, don't stick them in a college. They're just going to get drunk and party and spend money somewhere. Have them go travel. Have them go do some missionary work. Have them go start, just go work and figure out what it is you want to do. Go volunteer somewhere. Figure out kind of what do you want the next few years to look like before you make that commitment of college. And that's my view on it.
There's one college kid out there right now listening to what you just said and said, well, man, I get drunk on a weekend and I do some missionary work, if you know what I mean. Anyways.
I don't. What do you mean, Anthony?
So I want to make sure we talk about the event again. That story was just your whole background in your life. I think it's inspiring. I think just like people from different walks of life, whether they're disabled, Black, an immigrant from other countries that have found a way to truly create their own American dream and to live the life that they want to live, it's important because it speaks to different people. There's certain people I can't speak to. There's certain people you can't speak to. But if we all learn to use our voice, we truly we can get to the most amount of people to potentially, hopefully, get our country back, and also motivate people to actually change their life. And I always say with Be the Change, when I started it, it's not just about being the change in the world around you. It's being the change internally so that you can show other people that they can actually change their own lives as well. So
Yeah, that's so good. That's a Gandhi quote. Yeah.
yeah, Gandhi quote. And yeah, it's just a way of looking at things. And I catch a lot of flack, Eric, because there's a lot of my leftist friends that'll say, "Oh, you're a conservative." That I'm like, first off, conservative-ish. There's still a lot of things that I'm middle ground on, but go ahead. And they'll say, "I can't believe you think Be the Change can fit that way." And I'm like, you tell me what Be the Change means. And it is open to whatever interpretation. If somebody has a Black Lives Matter group that uses Be the Change, to them, that is creating change. They can do what they want. It's the open-minded thought process that ultimately, if you want to change the world around you, change yourself, change things that you can actually affect, create action instead of just awareness. And I think that's a pretty much what you do on a daily basis. Before we wrap up with the event, so what do you do now? Just speaking, writing, or do you actually still work for a core, like an actual company, or are you 100% living the entrepreneurial American dream?
100% living an entrepreneurial American dream, doing some stuff with crypto, which is really helping out.
What do you do? Are you a day trader with crypto, or what do you do?
I'm not. I found a company where I give them Bitcoin and they trade it, and based on what I give them, they kind of give me profits off of it, and it's working. And if you're interested, happy to share that with you offline.
Yeah.
So that's doing. I'm happy with that, and coaching, speaking, training, and I have a podcast called Lead, Sell, Grow, the Human Experience Podcast. That's where we got some really cool, amazing guests. And Barb was actually one of our first guests, like 18 months ago, shared her story. So that's all
It's
I
called
do.
Lead Sell. Is it easy to find?
Yeah, it better be.
Got it.
Lead, Sell, Grow, the Human Experience Podcast.
Get it in the chat for people. All right.
Man, my man David Kelly, you talk about leadership, man. This guy, there's a group. By the way, I got to throw a shout out. Can I throw a shout out really quick? Talk about Patriots. F3. If you're a man, ladies, I'm so sorry. It's for men only. There's a group called F3, and the 3 F's stand for fitness, fellowship, and faith. Okay, they have their own kind of ethos, and they have their own manual called the Q Source. And so what this group does is we get together. They get together 6 times a week. I don't. And David started this group here in Florida when he moved down from North Carolina, and he grew it. Like, it's Florida Suncoast, probably one of the bigger groups now, and just growing. It's men who get together, work out from 5:15 till 6 a.m., and somebody different leads the workout. It has to be outside, has to be in a parking lot. So there are F3 groups in Chicago. I can't imagine what they're doing these days, but they're working out. It's crazy. And then we get together at like a coffee shop or Dunkin' Donuts, and we talk about leadership and what's going on with our lives. And there might be somebody who. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting feedback here. And there is, somebody might be having an illness in their family or going through marriage challenges or something like that. And now you have this group of guys who are there to support you. And so if you're checking it out, go to F3 Nation, Google F3 Nation. I think it's f3nation.org, maybe .com, and find a workout near you.
Yeah, just f3nation.com. So is he the local leader, or did he actually create this?
He didn't create it. He works directly with the people who created it. And they kind of said, hey, dude, you're going to go and grow this elsewhere. And just the other day, we're getting together, and the question came up amongst the group of men. They said, what has F3 done for you? There's a 73-year-old man in there. We call him Spartan. Everybody gets a call sign. It's like the coolest freaking thing. I'm Sonic Boom. I'm not going to tell you why, but David Kelly is
You fart
Bing.
a lot in the morning. I feel like you fart a lot in the morning.
It's close to that.
Yeah.
So the way I got my name is they're like, what's the most embarrassing story that you can share with us? I shared my most embarrassing story. They're like, Sonic Boom. So that's the call sign. So anyway, so the guy says, the way I would describe F3 is instant inclusion. And that's what it is. And there's so many men walking around now. We call them sad clowns, where on the outside looking in, and I was that guy, everything looks good. Your marriage is good. You have a nice job. You drive a nice car. But on the inside, you feel like the walls are crushing in. You hate who you are. You hate where you live. You freaking go to a job you hate, hoping they don't fire you every single day. And that's the type of guy, that's the guy that's looking for a change. F3 has been that change for me, because when I moved to Florida as a 41-year-old guy who doesn't go to a working office, where the hell do you meet friends?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, and here it's instant friends, man. So yeah, sorry I hijacked to give a shout
No,
out to
not at
F3,
all.
but
No, that's great. And I think it's great to see too, because obviously tough guy. You fought in high school. You ended up becoming a Marine.
I
And
didn't say
this
I
is,
won those fights, Anthony. I just said I got into fights. All right, don't call me a tough guy.
but,
I got
but
into fights.
you took some hits, but and I mean it's funny because I've always been I've never been a fighter. I love boxing and stuff like that, but I've never gotten in those fights. But I've always been a very emotional. I was raised by a single parent mom, so I've always been very emotionally connected. Uh, so I've never had a problem with it. But you see a lot of guys think that having a fellowship with a bunch of dudes and talking about their problems is weak. And it's so far from it. You've got a guy on the screen with me right now that was an 8-year Marine. And there's a lot of guys like that that realize that the way for sanity and to enjoy your life is to be emotionally connected to yourself, to the people around you. It's not a sign of weakness. Closing yourself off is a sign of weakness. And I'm sure it's helped you in with your kids, with your marriage, across the board.
I'm still new to the group, but yeah, man. And what I really loved, we all went camping just 2 weekends ago, and Sonic Boom, love you, brother. You too, Bing. And there's like 5 big American flags and the F3 flag. And if you could think you're weak, because I thought I was strong, because I work out. I get up in the morning, I go work out. Dude, first workout I went and did with these guys, the 73-year-old guy whooped my ass. And I was out of breath, and he was still running circles around me. And so it was kind of it was a light bulb moment that said, dude, this is the place. They're going to push you. You're going to grow, and you will develop as a leader, better husband, better parent. We all need that.
That's awesome. All right, salesman. So, one more time, let's talk about this event coming up, Great American Summit. What would be your final words to tell people why they need to make it, especially if they're in the Texas area? I know we've got some Texas followers. Why the Great American Summit?
I think Barb is a genius with the timing of the event. It's that beginning of January. This is where you're really pumped up right now. You probably set some goals. You probably looked in the mirror and you said to yourself, this is my year. This is the year that I'm going to stop living like this. This is the year that I'm going to lose the weight, pay off the debts, get a new house, move to a new place, get a better job, get promoted, whatever it is you're saying to yourself. And then what happens is that fire kind of goes out. And by February timeframe, what happens is that you're back to doing the same shit you did in December before you made those promises to yourself. And then another year comes around. And what this event's going to do is connect you to the people who are on the same mission as you. It's going to give you some ideas, and it's going to forge friendships with people who aren't going to let you fail, who aren't going to let you be the same you who you were yesterday. If you let that happen, you got to be the change. So if you're up for the challenge, come to the event. And if you're not, donate a ticket. That's all good. Help somebody else do it.
Yeah. No, 100%. I was just going to say, and it's great that it's a great group of people, as you said, that You can get together in a room, build off of each other, and you don't have to be afraid of your beliefs. And we live in a weird world in 2021 when all of a sudden, just by wearing an American flag, people know where you stand, which is creepy. It should not be like that. That should not be a sign of, oh, you're one of those. And to know that you are going to build business relationships, friendships with a group of people that you know that you don't have to be like, can I share this with them? Can I share this Facebook meme with them? Are they going to be offended? This is the right group of people where you're going to be able to do that, and across the board, nobody's going to be canceled for it. And as he mentioned, we've got, and we always lead with the speaker, so I want to make sure that I really quick cover what the ticket goes to. It is a 0 profit event. The tickets are all going towards, once the room is paid for, the tickets all go to our charities. We've got Unbound Warrior with Nick's charity. You got Share Together from Yaku Boyens, including, and works on sex trafficking and getting rid of sex trafficking. His ministries as well. He promotes morality and Christianity, and he combines that obviously with hopefully bringing an end to sex trafficking as much as humanly possible. The Wounded Blue Foundation, Reboot Recovery, which is a combat recovery, a 12-week faith-based peer-led course, helps veterans, active duty military heal from service-related trauma, and the Got Your Back Network. So all these things are phenomenal organizations that are there to help first responders, help those that can't help themselves. And last but not least, the speaker list is just stacked. Eric is speaking, I am speaking, and of course we've got people like Crystal Tini, who is a influencer on social media. You've got Marie Cosgrove, big name, and then you get big names. You got Bedros Keuilian. You've got Ian Smith, the gym owner out of New Jersey. You've got Bobby Sausalito, Martha Krejci. As I said, Jaco Boyens, Ryan Weaver is performing a concert the first night and talking on the same day that his brother was killed in action, I believe 17 years ago. Tony Watley, David Webb from Fox News, Jason Redman. You can't get a group of patriots, Steve Sims, Bradley. You can't get a bigger group of patriots in one thing and then have the bonus of talking about business and how to grow your personal life, your business life, and also be around like-minded thinkers. You can't beat that. Rhonda, I see your comment right now. You're a local, and you follow. You and I need to talk about this. You're going to find a way to be there. I know Barbara is going to find a way to be there as well. So I'm not taking that, Rhonda. Not taking
it. Man, Marie Cosgrove. I mean, look, if you're a woman in business and you don't know Marie, this lady, she wasn't even, she was going to be aborted, or her mom was going to be aborted. Like, she was a miracle baby to begin with, ends up being a single mom, gets fired from her job as a salesperson, and comes back a few years later and buys the company that fired her.
Yeah, I love that.
Her story is so insane, it pumps me up. I get goosebumps listening. I'm just thinking about Marie. She's so awesome, man. What a power.
I feel like I minimalized her because I said we've got some really big names. To be very specific, I should specify people that have bigger followings on social media. But Marie's story, I've heard it before, and it is one of those ones, like Eric says, raises goosebumps. But it's a wide range of phenomenal stories to people that have huge followings because of their story and because they're great speakers. Yeah. And it's gonna be
Jason Redman, dude. I'm so stoked to meet him. Like, we've connected on social, but his story, like, just listen to the Jaco podcast with him. He's such a humble leader. He's a Navy SEAL who was wounded. Like, just, oh man, I'm pumped. I'm ready to go to Texas. All right, we got to go.
All right, we are going to wrap this up quickly, guys. I forgot to say this in the beginning, but if you like the shirt, we just added a new one to the website. We've got In America, We Can Agree to Disagree in red, white, and blue. It's a little dark, and new for the holiday season, we've got our Let's Go Brandon dad hats and all of our funny holiday sweaters. So I hope that you guys can check out our website if you want to. And for those that are part of the Be the Change crew, if you guys make it to the event, I'm obviously going to hook you guys up with some merchandise as well. But if you want 20% off until Christmas Day, Omicron is the special code. Make sure you do.
Dude, you're a savage. You're a savage.
We like to have a little fun. But yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff. You should see some of the holiday sweaters. I'll send you a link. You will like them. Anyways, guys, Eric, final words for everybody out there.
Hey, thank you guys so much for listening. I'm excited to meet you all in Texas. Seriously, come up, say hi to me. I told Barb I'm going to help with the event as much as I can. So if you see me in the hallway greeting you, taking out the trash, whatever. I don't care. I'm so passionate about this event, and I'd love to say hi and shake your hand in person when I see you.
I love it. Stay backstage for me, Eric, and it's going to take me about 30 seconds with the outro, and I will thank you back there. So hang tight.
Sounds good, brother.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great night. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And in America, we can agree to disagree. Take it easy.
We can.